Hey, what is up, everybody? I am here to give you guys my WWE Goodness Gracious Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. I know that's the name of a WWE pay-per-view. I still can't believe it, but it is. Still an interesting name for a pay-per-view. I can't believe I had to say Goodness Gracious Great Balls of Fire. It actually was trending on Twitter. Not exactly. It was like hashtag WWE G BOF or something. It was interesting. So let me talk about this show. We had the pre-show. We had Renee Young, Peter Rosenberg, and David Otunga on the panel. And then for commentary, we had Vic Joseph and Corey Graves. I'm not really going to go through everything on the pre-show. Seth Rollins got interviewed talking about his match with Bray Wyatt. Really didn't hear anything that he said. Really didn't care. Bray Wyatt said the same thing. We had the Cruiserweight Championship match. Cruiserweight Champion Neville versus Akira Tozawa. I thought these guys had a really good Cruiserweight Championship match. It seemed like the crowd actually cared about it, and I thought that it was actually fit pretty well being on the pre-show. I thought Tozawa pulled off some special moves like the running knee into the senton. Obviously when he missed the senton and then Neville started to target Tozawa, beat the crap out of him. And then eventually Akira Tozawa started to make his comeback. He had two suicide dives right through the ropes, which was really cool. And then he hit a second Shining Wizard. I thought he was going to get the pinfall when he hit a roll-up on him. I thought that was really cool. Neville hit a kick to the ribs. He went for this Phoenix Splash and missed. And he also hit a Tozawa hit a back suplex. Tozawa hit the senton off the top turnbuckle and covered Neville. Neville kicked out of it. Then eventually Tozawa, Neville rolled out of the ring. Then Tozawa got hung up on the top rope, balls first. And by the way, Akira Tozawa was being accompanied to the ring by Titus O'Neil. I forgot to mention that. Then eventually Neville kicked Tozawa in the ribs, covered him, and got the victory. And Neville retained the Cruiserweight Championship. I thought this was a really good booking decision here because obviously Neville's the best champion currently in WWE. And I think Neville's doing some great things with the championship. And, really didn't make sense to take the championship off Neville. But it does seem like they are going to continue the story because afterwards, Akira Tozawa was backstage with Titus O'Neil asking him to get him another chance. So it looks like they are going to continue the story. I don't know if the story will continue on going into SummerSlam, but it does feel like they are going to continue the storyline between Akira Tozawa and Neville, which I'm fine with. But I would like to see Neville face somebody else at SummerSlam. But I did think that they had a good Cruiserweight Championship match. It was actually the first time in about a month that people actually cared about the Cruiserweight division. Then we had the actual show itself. We had the commentary team of Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Booker T. We had the first match on the show. It was Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. I thought these guys had a pretty solid match here. It's just the problem is I really didn't care much about their feud, but I still thought they went out there and had a good match. This is what I expected. Seth Rollins dominated the first half of the matchup. He hit a drop kick on the Bray Wyatt and beat the crap out of him, bounced him off the announcer's table. Bray Wyatt took advantage and drove Rollins' nose right into the steps and targeted the injured nose of Seth Rollins for a while. And then eventually Seth Rollins made his comeback. He hit a sling blade, the blockbuster from the second turnbuckle, and covered him. Bray Wyatt kicked out. They both started to go back and forth. Wyatt hit a DDT on the apron. He hit a superplex off the turnbuckle, which Rollins ended up landing on his arm. I thought that looked pretty sick. Wyatt hit a sick Yoanagi on Bray Wyatt, on Seth Rollins. And then eventually Seth Rollins went for his knee. Bray Wyatt countered it. And eventually the finish came where Bray Wyatt wanted Seth Rollins to fight him. Rollins started to beat the crap out of him. Then Rollins thumbed him in the eye and hit the Sister Abigail for the win. And Bray Wyatt went over. I wasn't surprised. But I definitely think this feud is going to continue. And Seth Rollins is going to end up winning this feud because obviously we know that when it comes to feuds, Bray Wyatt doesn't win them. So, whatever. Then we had Big Cass versus Enzo Amore. But yeah, overall, I thought the Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt match was good. I just really didn't care about the storyline, which is kind of what hindered the match. But then we had Big Cass versus Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore comes out and cuts a great promo, talking about what his life has been, and it was just a really damn good promo. He talks about how he was on top in April when he competed at WrestleMania. Then he was down in May, and then he thought his life was going to be better in June. But then the Big Cass stabbed him in the back, and then he said that he's going to keep getting up and fighting and fighting and fighting. And then Big Cass comes out. He comes out with really generic music. I thought that was really damn generic. And Big Cass pretty much destroys Enzo Amore in this matchup. I thought this made Big Cass look like a great heel. He beat the crap out of Enzo. He picked him up in the gorilla press position and just tossed him out of the ring. And he just beat the shit out of him. And then Big Cass won with the big boot. I thought this, obviously the match, you can't really say was the best match, but I thought this was a good story and how they had Enzo keep getting up and fighting and fighting and fighting. And this was obviously a way to get one match out of him. I really wish they would get a little bit more matches, maybe. Maybe have Enzo Amore continue the feud by having Enzo Amore having to go find somebody else to fight his battles for him. I think that would be kind of cool. But overall, I thought this was a solid match. Then we had the 30-minute Iron Man match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Raw Tag Team Champions, Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Hardy Boys. Before the match, the Hardy Boys cut a promo, got interviewed, and they talked about how they were looking forward to the Iron Man match, and you saw a little bit of Matt Hardy becoming the broken gimmick. And the match starts off. Cesaro runs across the ring and distracts Matt Hardy, and Sheamus immediately hits a blow kick on Matt Hardy, covers him and gets the first fall, and this happens about 15 seconds into the match, and, the Hardy Boys were pretty shocked, so then the Hardy Boys started dominating the matchup for a little while. They were trying to get that second fall. Well, they were trying to get the first fall in the match, and they just went for a few minutes. Jeff Hardy hit a sick dive on Sheamus. They both hit double suplexes, and they, pretty much dominated. Then eventually the Sheamus and Cesaro got the heat on Jeff Hardy. They beat the crap out of him throughout the rest of the matchup. Then eventually the Sheamus and Cesaro got the second pinfall when Sheamus hit the counter cross and Cesaro assisted him to do so off the top turnbuckle, and they got the second fall. Then eventually Matt Hardy made the hot tag, and he started going off on Sheamus and Cesaro, hitting the side effects, bouncing Cesaro's head repeatedly off the turnbuckles. And then eventually they hit Poetry of Motion. Matt Hardy hits a side effect on Sheamus, and Jeff Hardy hits the Twist of Fate on him. The Hardy Boys get the second, get their first fall in the matchup, and then the Hardy Boys try everything they can to try to get the second fall. Jeff Hardy hits some dives, and then eventually Matt Hardy takes a nasty spill outside the ring. They dominate Matt Hardy for a while. Cesaro threw Matt Hardy into the steel post, and this knocks him out long enough for Sheamus, and Sheamus was still in the win, and he was the legal man, and Matt Hardy got counted out, so Sheamus and Cesaro got the third fall. Then they beat the crap out of Matt Hardy, and then eventually Jeff Hardy makes a blind tag, hits a split-legged roll-up onto Cesaro, and the Hardy Boys get their second fall, and then eventually Matt Hardy and the Hardy Boys, Matt Hardy hits a twist of fate, Jeff Hardy hits a swanton bomb on Sheamus, and they get the third fall, and then the match just really starts to pick up into speed and really starts to get going, and then eventually Jeff Hardy hits the swanton bomb, and you think he's going to make the pinfall, but behind the referee's back, Cesaro had made a tag, which we didn't get to see, which I thought was on the camera production. And Cesaro pins Jeff Hardy and gets the win. And Sheamus and Cesaro retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. And Matt Hardy was busted open because in the match he had a twist of fate onto Sheamus, which is out. That's actually how the Hardys got their third fall actually and tied it up. And he was busted open. So I wonder if that's going to lead him into the broken gimmick. So I don't know what's going to happen there. But overall, I thought this was a really good tag match. What hurt the match was kind of the finish because you didn't really get to see Cesaro actually make the tag and make the blind tag. But I still thought this was a really good tag team match. but I really enjoyed it. Then for the Raw Women's Championship match between Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss was defending the title. I thought this was a good match. Alexa Bliss looked really aggressive. I just loved it when she bends her arm really um, a lot. And Sasha Banks dominates the first half of it. Alexa Bliss hits a big right hand. She throws Sasha. She whips Sasha back first on the apron, and she hits a backbreaker later on that looked sick. And Sasha Banks got into the bank statement, and Alexa Bliss was able to get to the ropes, and eventually Alexa Bliss just gets herself counted out because she realizes that she can't beat Sasha Banks. I didn't mind the finish too much because it continues the storyline because you don't really have a lot of people for Alexa to feud with. But I enjoyed this match. I thought it was good. The Miz versus Dean Ambrose for the IC title. Dean Ambrose is lazy and complacent, like I've talked about before. This match was just an average match, just kind of there. Miz won with the Skull Crushing finale. Match really wasn't bad, but it was just really there. And then we had the ambulance match, I believe, between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. I thought this was a really good match with a great segment. Braun Strowman dominates the beginning half of this matchup, just really overpowering Roman Reigns, and he ends up hitting the reverse choke slam, throwing him into the steps, hits him off the head with the steps. Roman Reigns tries to make his comeback, and then Roman Reigns hits him repeatedly with the chair, and he goes after his injured arm. And then Braun Strowman starts to look like a monster. He throws him from barricade to barricade. He throws him across the stage. Goes for the power bomb. Reigns fights out of it. Strowman throws Reigns off the stage into the ambulance, and then he goes to put Reigns in the ambulance. Reigns counters and throws Braun right through the screen, which I thought was sick. And then eventually they both recover. Strowman gets thrown off the stage again, and then Reigns hits him in the head with one of those spotlight lights they have set up, and he goes for a spear. He goes right into the ambulance, and Strowman closes the doors on him. Now I know you're gonna say, why did you watch a Roman Reigns match? What about the protest? Well, that's because it wasn't off my WWE network or my TV, so it doesn't count because I watched it at a friend's house. So fuck you. If it's not off my account or my network, it doesn't count. Because this was actually the first time I had watched a Roman Reigns match since WrestleMania 33. But I like the fact that Braun went over. And then afterwards, Roman Reigns gets out of the ambulance, spears Braun Strowman, puts him in the ambulance, takes out the driver, drives the ambulance, and then he then he stops, he goes backstage, he reverses the ambulance right into a semi-truck, and then he gets out of the ambulance, and you think Braun Strowman's been killed, and you can see Kurt Angle backstage, and he's like, what the fuck is going on here? So he has a bunch of people come up. You see Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury back there, former members of J&J Security, and they're trying to plow this ambulance open when they could have easily just driven the ambulance away. It was stupid. And this actually goes on to the point where they have to segue into a different match for filler to kind of go up against this. So it segued to a Curt Hawkins Heath Slater match. It was just a match randomly thrown on the show. This was just really to kill time during the segment. You saw them maybe do a few moves. Heath Slater hit his leg lariat, and then eventually it just cut back to them trying to get Strowman. You see fire trucks coming there, and this segment was awesome. Actually, it was actually pretty funny, and it was they actually we didn't even see the finish to the Heath Slater Curt Hawkins match, but we heard that Heath Slater apparently had won. It was actually pretty funny, and they actually weren't even prepared to do really the match. You could see Curt Hawkins getting his stuff together. It was like they found out last minute, and then eventually they get the ambulance door open after a while, and Braun Strowman, you can just see, is kind of dead. He falls down the stairs, and eventually he's all bloody, and he gets up. He's like, no, he refuses medical attention, and you see blood smeared all over him. He gets blood on one of the trucks, and he walks off and refuses medical attention. You see Kurt Angle just horrified. Now, if you ask me, this is a definite face turn for Braun Strowman because you had Braun Strowman who had won the match, but yet he still got his ass kicked. He pretty much almost died, but yet you still had him come off looking like a badass and refusing medical attention and walking off anyways, and everybody got reacted. I would also want to say that this was a heel turn for Roman Reigns because the way the commentators hype it up. It was like it was a despicable move. Then they were like, what drove Roman Reigns to want to do this? So we're gonna have to wait and see on that. I really hope it is a heel turn for Roman Reigns because that means my protest has worked. But I thought this segment was done really well, and it was actually a hilarious segment. It was really funny. The fact that they even cut to another match and then like they even did like a split screen to it. So I thought that was obviously pretty funny stuff. Then we had the main event though. It was the WWE Universal Championship match. WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman ringside versus Samoa Joe. I thought this was a good match here. Good main event. I thought this definitely lived up to expectations. It was a nice, badass match. Joe ambushes Lesnar from behind while Heyman's introducing him, beats the crap out of him, throws him into the barricade, hits a Uranagi through the Spanish announcer's table, and Brock chooses to continue going on with the match anyways. Joe hits a splash and the insecurity in the corner, tries to get him into the corky and a clutch, but Lesnar reverses it. Lesnar hits 2 German suplexes, and then he goes for a third one. Joe pushes the referee in front of him, low blows Lesnar, and he hits a clothesline on him. And then he hits, Joe hits a nice takedown on Lesnar, and he tries to get him into the corky and clutch again. Lesnar keeps reversing it. Then Lesnar hits a sidewalk slam on Joe. Hits a few more German suplexes, but Joe is able to reverse the F5 into the Corkina clutch, and then Lesnar backs him into the corner, but eventually it's not enough. And then Lesnar eventually hits the F5 for the win. And I like this match here. Lesnar retained his title, and that was the end of the show. I like this match here. I thought it told a nice story. It made both men look really strong, and I liked it. I really enjoyed it, and I really hope we get a return match at SummerSlam because you could definitely feel like that they would. I still thought the match really worked, but you could definitely feel like that they could have done so much more in this match. And Joe had that look on his face like he wasn't done with Brock Lesnar yet. And I really hope that they do continue this program going into SummerSlam where they can have a definitive one-on-one matchup. And I like that this match wasn't too long because it's a Brock Lesnar match. It didn't really need to be too long, so it really worked for me. Now I'm going to give my star ratings for each match. For the Cruiserweight Championship match, I'll probably give that match probably 3 stars. It was a good Cruiserweight Championship matchup. It actually kind of surprised me. I expected this match to be a hidden gem, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was and from as many people to care about as they did. They really need to get Vic Joseph off commentary, though. He's terrible. And then for the Seth Rollins Bray Wyatt match, I'm probably going to give that match 2.5, maybe 2. Yeah, probably 2.5. So probably 2 3/4 stars. It was a good match. Just didn't really care about the storyline. For the Big Cass Enzo Amore match, 2.25 star, just because of the fact that it was a good storyline match and stuff, and Enzo's promo definitely made the match. For the Raw Tag Team Championship match, gonna give that match 3 3/4, very close to being a 4-star match. It would have helped if we could have seen the finish and had seen Cesaro if the cameraman had been in best position for Cesaro to make his tag. For the Raw Women's Championship match, that was definitely I would say that was probably 2.5 stars. Good match. Not bad. Intercontinental Championship match, 2-star match, really just there. Didn't hate it though. And then for the ambulance match, I thought that was a 4-star match right there. And obviously the segment made the match as well. And then for the Lesnar Joe match, I'll probably give that match 3.5 stars. I thought that was a really good Universal title match. Told a great story, and the right person ultimately went over because you couldn't have Brock Lesnar go in there and just not retain his title. As for this show, I thought this was a good wrestling show here. It was pretty enjoyable. Not really anything really bad on the show. I thought this was a good, the best wrestling show that's taken place since WrestleMania. You know, you had Payback. You had Payback that was kind of bad. You had Backlash that was bad. Extreme Rules, and then Money in the Bank. You just had a lot of bad shows. I actually thought for a pay-per-view they had a comedic name. They really delivered. So if I had to rate this show, I'll probably rate the show an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a good show here. Nothing fantastic, but a good show here. It definitely lived up to expectations. And I really enjoyed it. I definitely think what made this show was the segments with Strowman, Lesnar's match made this show. The cruiserweights, well, I mean, it didn't make the show, but it still was good. You know, it flowed really well, and I thought this was a good wrestling show here. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to my CM Brothers and No One the Talkinator channels. And make sure to subscribe to this channel as well for more videos. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.